First Tuesday of the month. That means we're getting ready to get into some RPG Elite philosophy for life. Thanks for coming to the channel, folks. Your boy serving in the hizzy. This is RPG Elite. It's the place where I focus on putting the RP back into tabletop RPG by giving you tools, tips, tutorials, and real talk about the tabletop RPG space and culture. Now today, it's kind of a real talk session because we're talking about the RPG Elite philosophy, its foundations, and how it actually comes from a worldview on life and how to live. And so we're gonna look at how to apply the RPG Elite philosophy to your life. So I'm not gonna mess around, dilly-dally. Let's get into this as we look at how to apply the second quality of RPG Elites don't play every tabletop RPG out there. Now, how does this apply to your life? I'm gonna tell you about that right now. Let's get to it. This quality talks about how we as RPG Elites only focus on 1, 2, 3 at the most. We're specialists. To have different experiences in life, yes, that's a good thing. That's how we learn about different things. But the wise person understands, you can't experience everything. You have to pick and choose. So of the things that you pick and choose that you're going to experience, then you need to make the most out of that thing. And you need to focus on that thing so you can get the juice out of it, all of it, because you can't do that with everything. And it's a lot easier on you and your life when you focus instead of trying to go to everything that's out there, because that's not wise living. So God has gifted us all with different abilities, talents, and everything. There's a book that's out there. It's called The Unfair Advantage. It's by Ash Ali and Hassan Kuba. And they talk about this very thing. They talk about how people have an unfair advantage in different things. And some people sit up there and cry and moan about what they don't have instead of really just focusing and doubling down on what they do have. But there's a reason why they don't do that. We'll get into that as we go along here. But we all have an unfair advantage in something. We all do. We need to find that. The problem with people who are always flitting from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, is because they ain't studying about finding it. And so they go nowhere. They're hamsters in a wheel cage. They think they're getting somewhere. It's not doing them a whole lot of good because they're not getting anywhere in the same place that they were when they started. And they're wondering, what's going on? Why? Salesman and great motivational speaker Zig Ziglar is known for coining this phrase, and I absolutely love it because it speaks volume. Listen to what he says. Don't become a wandering generality. Be a meaningful specific. People who live as wandering generalities, normally what happens is that they flip from one thing to the next. They can't focus. They're not consistent. And the only thing that they're consistent in is being inconsistent. So they never complete projects, or if they start a project, it only goes on for a certain length of time. Why? Because like a little 2-year-old who gets their toy and they're so happy to get their toy, a new shiny thing is coming to the room, and now the toy that they wanted so much is just sitting over there in the corner because now all their attention is over here. They have no self-control. This really all goes back to the obsession video I talked about, where the 3 things, why they get so obsessed. Number 1, no discipline. Number 2, no courage. And number 3, no purpose. That's the undergirding of all of this. Now, let me say this. I'm gonna come down to some people's level. You can be a wandering generality. If you wanna be a wandering generality, you are free to do so. It is in your control to do so. However, just don't expect your life to be anything beyond banal and mediocre. And on top of that, don't sit up there and start crying and complaining about your plight in life and where you are, because nobody wants to hear you crying at that point. And most people should have zero sympathy for you because of the decisions that you've made. You have made that bed. Now you can go and lie in it. However, If that is what you want to do, do your thing. Do your thing. Ain't nobody crying over here though. When you are living your life as a wandering generality, basically what you're doing is you're just trying to fill it with stuff. You're just doing stuff for no reason. It's just vacuous endeavors, one after another, going nowhere with no meaning, purposeless, aimless. And this is normally why people go into depression. And instinctually, they understand there's something off here. Say, right. This is why, today you've got mental health issues at an all-time high. At an all-time high. Why? Most of the time it's because they don't have a meaningfully specific life. They have no idea why they're here. And I had somebody, I think it was a couple people, when I started talking about no discipline, no courage, no purpose, they said to me, purpose is an illusion. That basically is what they were saying, or purpose is it's not that important, or something to that degree. Let's go down that road. Okay, if that's the case, then I should absolutely ignore your statement because you making it has no purpose. You see how that works? That's silly. People going around having mental issues today because they're aimless and they have no purpose and they're trying to fill it with something, so they go from one thing to the next, to the next, to the next, and they have no idea where they're going. They're just doing. And it's not working. Now, as you guys know, the RPG Elite philosophy is a mindset. I'm always talking about mindset. I've talked about this, like I beat this thing so hard. Right? And I'm still gonna beat it because we need to understand that it is mindset that structures how we are going to live. Changing your mindset. Stop going around all over the place and start narrowing it down, and you will find that that is more meaningful to be specific. Bible teacher Vance Havner, this is what he said. Love how he puts things, but this is what he says. He said this: our defeat or victory begins with what we think. And if we guard our thoughts, we shall not have much trouble anywhere else along the line. See, how are you thinking? How are you thinking about things? There's a lot of people who think that, well, I know because they have some information. And you might know, just haven't learned, because those are two different things. Knowing is getting the information. Learning is taking that information and working it out, so at the other end, you will get wisdom. See, people aren't willing to do that. They'll talk about, I know, then you look at their life, and they clearly don't know. They just have information. Knowledge without application is nothing but trivia. But knowledge with application is wisdom. That is what we should be trying to get at. Should be. But most people don't want to go through the hard work of taking the knowledge and working through things. Because listen, folks, to get to the other side of wisdom requires pain. It requires struggle. It requires work. And most people don't want to do that. And you say anything about those things, and they lose their mind and want to go to a therapist. And that's why they can't get over the hump. Just saying. Being a meaningful specific brings confidence in your life. It sets you free from all of the noise and distractions that are trying to pull you in 5 million different directions. It gives you a place to go, a goal. That's what I'm talking about. And when you are meaningly specific, you see your life in a totally different way. But you see it in a totally different way because you've decided to change your mind. Change your mind. This is what the Bible has to say about that. This is fantastic. So let's go to it, because I'm going to tell you a little something, something. So even if you don't believe in the Bible, you can at least recognize truth when you hear it. Can you not? So let's talk about this. The Bible says this about your mind. It says, do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed. Now, how are you going to be transformed? Let's look. By the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Now, that last part is only for believers, but the first part is for everybody. If you want your life to change, renew your mind. Your mindset has to change. If you want experiences in tabletop RPG sessions to change, you have to change your mindset. How do you approach this? How do you think about this? That's a whole RPG elite philosophy. How do you do this stuff? Well, that's how you do it. This, change your mind, build up your mind, strengthen your mind, because from here, this changes. All of this, which is life. So you have to start in this place right here. So let me give you a couple things that you can do to help you get to a different mindset and get you on your journey to being a meaningful specific. So number one is, let's sit back and do some self-examination. Take a chill pill for a second. Let's sit back and go, okay, who am I? See, this lack of self-awareness in so many people today is the reason why they are going from here, this, that, and the third. Because if you ask most people, it'll be like, well, why are you doing what you're doing? They're going to tell you, I don't know. Or if you ask them a simple question like, okay, so, what are you pursuing? How are you, what they say? I don't know. The result of that is, well, I'm gonna do this over here. Oh, I'll try this over here. Oh, and I'll try this over here. Now, if you're doing that to discover your meaningly specific goal, okay, that's different. You're trying things out to discover things, but you got to stick with it long enough to realize whether or not that's it. Some people stick with it for like 5 minutes and be like, that's not it. It's like, wait a minute. Discipline. You got to stick with this for a little while to see if it actually is. It's like people with YouTube channels, right? They start a YouTube channel, they want to do this, they get all excited, and then they realize, oh, dang, this is work, right? And then they stop, right? You got a couple videos here, a couple videos there, and whatever, and then they stop because it's a lot of work. It is a lot of real work. You have to work through it. You have to stick with it for a little while to see if this is it. Now, is this something for me? I've figured out this is something for me. I've figured out that this is where I could be a blessing to other people. I figured out that I like video editing, and I've always been a writer and a speaker. So this is my jam. I know this. I've discovered this. This is just another way of expressing this. So I've stuck with it. 250 plus videos, going on 300 now. Shoot, I would have never thought that I've, gone that far into it. But you got to stick with it for a little while. But before you even do that, you got to sit down and go, who am I? Who am I? I like what the Bible has to say about this again. For by the grace given to me, I say to everyone among you not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think. Well, there's one that most people don't do. Thinking way more highly than they ought to think, but that's another video for another time. Let's continue, because this next part is what I really want to focus on. It says this, but to think with sober judgment, each according to the measure of faith that God has assigned. So, when you're doing the self-examination, you're supposed to have sober judgment. What does that mean? Well, it's actually thinking about yourself as you really are. What can you do and what can't you do? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Actually taking the time to do some self-inventory and laying it all out on the table to know who you are. You got to start there. You got to start by holding on for a second, sitting and doing self-examination. Now we're going to get to how to help in that in a second. But the next thing you probably is going to need to do is clear out all the clutter and distractions in your life. You need to clear out distractions and all the rest of those things that are not going to helping you discover who you are and helping you to be a meaningful specific. You need to sit down and write down all that stuff. Television, video games, tabletop RPGs that you ain't never gonna play and you're just wasting money on and all the rest of this stuff, all of that stuff. Okay, maybe it's time to ixnay all of that and whittle yourself down to those 2 or 3 things that you're like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. This is my meaningly specific path. And the next thing after that, maybe you might need to do something. This is something more practical. So, and I think that this actually helps, that you go and take like a personality test. Again, trying to be self-aware, trying to figure out who you are. All right, well, go take the personality test. There's a website called 16 Personalities. Go over there and take that evaluation. It's just a start. It's just to get an idea. Who are you? How have you been wired? Listen, I've said this before, I'm going to say it again. Everyone has been stamped with the divine image. That means that you have significance and you have purpose. Silly, foolish people say that you don't. Wise people in the know say that you do. Now, which one do you want? And how do you want to live? I'm just saying. Which one's more appealing? Let's put it there. You have been stamped with a divine image. That means you have purpose. It means you have meaning. And so if he has given all of us some kind of unfair advantage, some kind of gift or ability or gifts and abilities, that's normally the case, it's more than one, and we should be focused in a particular area to have a meaningly specific life, well, then maybe these tools that have been put out there for us would be good for us to go through so we can discover those things. So we can go, okay, I lean in this direction and I'm this way. All right, you're discovering who you are. You're taking practical steps so that you can have a meaningly specific life, which is another way of just saying having a fulfilling one. But that's something practical. Go to 16personalities.com, go over there, take it. All right. If you're a Christian, you need a robust spiritual gift evaluation. And there is one by Dan and Katie Fortune that talks about spiritual gifts. And I am telling you, this is a fantastic, it goes deep. And I'm going to be teaching this in January here locally. I'm not going to be teaching it online, but I am going to be teaching it. Because I think that you can't be the best that you can be, and I'm talking to Christians now, you can't be the best that you can be until you understand what God has wired you to be. So you got to do this through prayer or some other way. And if nothing else has worked and you haven't gotten to that place yet, then this is something that you need to do. Got to honor that. He knows what you're trying to do. Now, once you do all of those things, you're going to notice something that's going to happen. Number one, your life is going to change. That's number one. Number two, you're going to be able to recognize when FOMO tries to come at you, because just because you're doing all this stuff, it doesn't mean that FOMO is going to disappear. It's coming back on a rag. You just will be able to handle it and push it aside, because now you're building up a bulwark and defense against it. So you'll be able to discern and recognize it when it's trying to come over the ramparts of your soul. You understand what I'm saying? And you'll be able to push it away so you can keep going down that path of being a meaningful specific. That's RPG Elite Philosophy Quality number 2 applied to your life. There it is. My goal when I do these kinds of videos is to help you guys. That's it. That's it. That's my goal. So if you've learned anything in this video, you got any kind of value out of this video, and maybe it's put a fire underneath you to be like, you know, maybe I have been living my life as a wandering generality and pretty much going nowhere fast. Maybe I need to whittle down all these distractions in my life and get down to brass tacks to being a meaningful, specific. And not only will that bless you and fulfill your life, it's going to bless others around you who you can be an example to. So if you've gotten anything out of this video, do a brother a solid and go ahead and here we go. I'm going to try to do it like this. Crush the like button. If you want to stick around here, folks, because we do tabletop RPG stuff. Just RPG Elite Philosophy is a special thing that I do here, and we do commentary and I talk about it and I try to help you guys in life because this will filter down into every single thing that you do. And if you want to stick around with me, then go ahead, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. And if you want to even stick around even further and longer, you can join the Elite Squad, y'all. We're growing over there on the Gilded server right now. We got like 50 plus people over there right now. And that's a small but tight-knit community of individuals because, listen, number one, you got to be part of the Elite Squad in order to join the server. Now, how do you become part of the Elite Squad? Simple. All you need to do is go down in the description. First link that you see is going to be Elite Squad sign up. Hit that bad boy, get to the landing page, put your name, put your email in, hit the blue button, you'll be good to go. You'll be part of the Elite Squad. If you want to join the Gilded server, you can. That's optional, right? And we go over there, we talk to one another, and it's just, I love how it's just this tight-knit community. So if you want to be part of this and have encouragement in not only playing tabletop RPGs, but, you know, life, then go ahead and join the Elite Squad today. Let's get to the question of the vid. Question of the vid is this. What category do you put yourself into? And don't try to get out of this. I know people be trying to get out of these questions of the vid that I'm doing, you know, by trying to say, well, sometimes, you know, I'm this and sometimes I'm that. No, I'm saying what marks your life? What marks your life? If somebody else is looking at you, would they say you are one, or would you say you're a wandering generality or a meaningful specific? Which one marks your life the most? Let me know down in the comments. Let's get some engagement going. Just be honest. We're here to help one another. So not just to put you on blast, we're here to help one another. At least here we are. I'm not here to hear nonsense. I'm here to give truth and help people. All right? So let me know in the comments. That's it. Your boy, I'm over. It's through. I got to go.
So exit, stage left.
Hey, if you want more of these videos, they're going to be right here. But until next time, folks, God willing, I got to go and say peace, 5,000 elites. I am out.